Hey guys, welcome back. Today I decided to have a look at how our favourite class was doing on the PTR before the release of 10.2. Please note that this video does come with two caveats. One, the PTR has barely started, there are still plenty of changes and tuning to be done, so none of this is final. And number two, that with all these changes, that means that the talent selections and rotations are likely still being crafted and simmed, so what I'm doing is absolutely not optimal. With those caveats in mind, what I wanted to see was not necessarily how the spec was performing from a DPS point of view, but how it feels to play just generally. So let's kick it off with Arcane. These are the talents and gear I'm playing with. Note that this tune is currently optimized for Fire Mage, so I am lacking a lot of the crit required for Arcane, but again, this was more about feel of the spec rather than how high I could make it burst. I'm going to let this clip play through of my dummy testing, so you'll see that I make a fair few mistakes through here, but that's okay. Some of that's just me being really washed up on Arcane, and some of it is due to the 180 ping I'm trying to play with connecting to the PTR from Australia. So Arcane actually feels pretty good. Well, it's felt pretty good for quite a while now, but it's a very scripted spec, which makes achieving consistency on it very easy, although very punishing if you don't prepare yourself for your fights. Generally still seems to be operating as a strong 45-second burst window spec. The rotation feels very smooth, although the latency issues I was having was creating mana issues, so definitely doing some major things wrong in between my burst windows. Next up is Frost Mage. As before, these are the talents and the gear hasn't changed. Still very optimized gear for fire, however, we aren't looking at this for the DPS. We are looking at how smooth and how fun the class is to play. The new Frost Mage rotation is the one I have the least practice playing, but during my testing, the Glacial Spike crits definitely felt very good. I'm going to let this clip play out and we'll recap at the end. is the spec that I'm least happy with. The introduction of Glacial Spike, Ray of Frost and Comet Storm feels a little clunky to me in the rotation. Part of this can definitely be attributed to PTR ping. On live it doesn't feel as bad, however it still doesn't feel as turrety as Frost used to feel. We now have a 3-second Glacial Spike that interacts with our tier set, is also one of our highest damage. The frequency that we are casting this, plus the downtime when we cast Ray of Frost, just feels like it takes a lot of the pacing out of the spec. I don't really enjoy Frost all that much anyway, so maybe I'm just dooming about it. What do you guys think? On to Fire, my favourite spec. Here's the gear and the talents. This is what I'm most interested in. I have the most experience with Fire on live at the moment, as I've been playing it for pretty much all of Farm in Aberrus. I'm really interested to see how this one plays out now that we've lost our Phoenix Flames tier set, which I was just getting used to. So let's have a look at how it went. So Fire Mage feels a little different. I ran Hypothermia in this test as it's looking like it might be the play. When that bad boy lights up and you start firing off 3 Pyroblasts, it feels very nice. Phoenix Flames as a spell now feels very lackluster. It still has a slow travel time, but it does low damage and it's just not an enjoyable button to press. The pacing of the spec seems to be leaning towards bigger combustions and smaller, less frequent SKBs. Maybe with more tuning it will change, but at the moment it still feels quite good to play, and with more optimizations to talents and the rotations, this is the spec that I have the most hope for. I want this one to be strong. I'd like another fire tier. On the screen you will see the details overview for each test and spec, as well as the damage graph from those 3 pulls. As you can see with Arcane, it still has that high burst every 1 minute 30, as well as a minor burst every 45 seconds. This is really good for progression, especially if there is a priority ad spawning and you get assigned to burst it down. Frost has a decently flat damage profile, although this pull was all over the shop as I battled latency and my lack of familiarity with the spec. The disadvantage to Frost is that periods of downtime do affect its ability to maintain its DPS. Fire definitely has some nice bursts inside of those combust windows, peaking at 200k here. It also has a flatter profile than Arcane, meaning that downtime is going to affect this spec's ability to maintain its DPS. It does have 2 advantages in progression that the other specs don't have so much of. One of those is Cauterize, which is just a really strong defensive ability. And one of those is that a lot of your damage coming from combusts, which is predominantly instant cast, meaning that you are quite mobile even without running Icy Flares. That's about it, guys. No real conclusions as we are far too early in the PTR and everything could change tomorrow. I'm still liking Fire and Arcane. Generally, I think that all specs will perform very well in Raid next year, but only tuning will tell. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a fantastic night.